It's a big day in the deal for Victor Gyökeres. Some key movement could take place today. We're delving into that. Eze, who has been left out of all the promotional work for Crystal Palace's new season. We're looking into the deal with Rodrygo. Big claims in coming from Spain that he's most attracted to a move to Arsenal, plus why Manchester United need Ollie Watkins, what's going on with the Mbeumo deal, and updates in relation to Morgan Gibbs-White to Tottenham Hotspur. Make sure the like button is hit. Make sure you're subscribing. Get that bell notification turned on as well. It's so important. Of course, like it, subscribe. But that bell notification, make sure you turn on all notifications. Let's do this, people. This is the Done Deal Show. Welcome back to the Football Terrace and the Done Deal Show. Ben Jacobs with a massive update in the early hours today. That today, Saturday, the 12th of July, is seen as a key day in the Victor Gyökeres saga. He says here that Sporting have told Gyökeres he must return to training today, but the Swedish striker is expected to refuse, having made his position to the club clear all summer. Sporting have already informed Arsenal they want 70 million fixed plus add-ons. Arsenal and Gyökeres have agreed terms on a 5-year deal, and all parties want a swift revolution, and that is key. Sporting are demanding him come back to training. The player is saying no. I am not coming back. I want out. I am desperate to join Arsenal. I want to play for Mikel Arteta. I want to be part of the project. I want to be part of a title charge at the Emirates next season. That is what the player is demanding right now. And there is some feeling in the media that a breakthrough could be reached very, very soon with this deal. And I think Arsenal fans need it. A lot of us have criticized the Noni Madueke deal. I do think some of the reactions now are bordering on outrageously over the top. Some of the comments that have been made, the abuse that young man is facing. I don't necessarily think he's worth the money he's been bought for, but the level of abuse that guy's getting is crazy. I do think the Arsenal fan base, rightly or wrongly, needs this deal to happen. We know how good a player that he is going to be for Arsenal. We do. I think some people are doubting it, scores too much on the transition. I don't think you've watched him play enough, personally. I don't think you've watched him play enough, and the facts are the Premier League has more transition opportunities than Portuguese teams do. This is just a cast iron fact. But look, we want to get your thoughts and we want to get your opinions on this. It has been a long-running saga. It's one that Arsenal are now trying to get finalized. They've advanced the deal. But according to Ben Jacobs, today is a key day where a huge breakthrough could be made. We're going to go to some of your comments in a few moments' time. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all well. Who said Rodrygo is attracted to Arsenal? Well, this story, I'll talk about this now as well, actually. Let's have a little look here. Let's have a little look here, and we'll go through it. So 2 to 3 different media outlets have claimed this now. Now, AS have said that if Real Madrid tell Rodrygo to leave the club, he will accept. But as long as he's the one who gets to choose his future club, the club that attracts him the most is Arsenal. Now, there's been other reports in the last 2 to 3 weeks that have been similar to this. The Hand of Arsenal has also published something that is relatively similar to this, that the player is most attracted to the Arsenal situation. Now, it remains to be seen whether that comes true or not. People like to believe the Spanish press when they said that Zubimendi was going to get hijacked by Real Madrid. They probably will disregard the Spanish press now because it's a story that doesn't suit their narrative or their wants. But I felt all along there's a genuine, distinct chance that Arsenal can pull that deal off. I think they're going to need to sell to do it. but it's there. And the one thing I always say about transfers, and I stand on this, is until they're shut down by the big journalists or by the clubs directly, they may happen. Until you hear the words from Fabrizio, Jacobs, Ornstein, Fabrice Hawkins, people like this, if they come out and go, there's just absolutely almost zero chance this happens, that's when I start to not think about it or talk about it. When you hear stories like Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Man United, but the actual article, when you read it, says the player's been offered to Man United and Man United haven't reciprocated. That's why I don't spend too much time talking about it, because there is no substance to it. But in the Arsenal situation, they've made contact with the camp. Multiple outlets and multiple journalists have said that the player likes them, is attracted to it, or most likes them. At no point has the deal been shut down. At no point in the links to other players have any journalists said it's going to be Madueke or Rodrygo, Eze or Rodrygo. It's always they're expected to do multiple. So I think it's always right to be balanced in those situations personally, but that's just me. On the Gyökeres deal, look, I'm going to say this. I understand, and I made this promise. I'm going to try not to talk about people's emotions too much, individuals, that is. I get why Arsenal fans are frustrated, but I still think Arsenal are doing the right thing here at this particular moment with Gyökeres. Is they're trying to get him at the price that they're happy paying. They're trying to bring him in for a price that they think reflects the value of the player now. They're obviously going to put him on much bigger wages than non-Madueke. And this is why some people will say, well, Madueke is costing is 48 million. Why are we deliberating over £4 or £5 million for Victor Gyökeres? Well, again, we haven't been told Madueke's salary yet, but a lot of people have said it will be 60 to 70,000 pound tops. You've only got to look at the fact that Gyökeres is going to come in and be on 200k a week minimum. 200k a week minimum, okay, on a 5-year deal is a 52 million pound investment. Let's say Noni Madueke is on 70k a week. For a similar period, you're only talking about an 18 million pound. There's a 30 million pound difference in this deal in terms of total cost for the player and the club. The agent fees are going to be much bigger as well for Gyökeres. So you're probably looking at a total cost of 40 to 50 million pounds more. No, more than that even, because the salary, the transfer fee is going to end up being, let's just say it ends up coming in around that 70 million euro mark. Let's just work this out here. Let's work this out, people. So if the transfer fee ends up coming in around 60 million pounds plus add-ons, okay, so 60 million. Let's just do the math on this, right? So let's say 61 million for the fee, because it's going by cut, plus around 52 million pounds for the salary, plus let's just say a 7.5 million pound agent signing on fee and all of that. You're looking at a minimum 120 million pound investment into Victor Gyökeres, where with Noni, we were talking 18 million pound for the salary. Let's just say a 3.5 will be really conservative. 3.5 million pound agent fee, and then a transfer fee of 48 million pound. You're talking about 70 million. There is a 50 million pound differential. So yes, Arsenal are going to try and save a bit there, save a bit there, save a bit there, because the difference in cost is massive. The difference is costing huge, and a lot of people want to ignore that in many ways. Absolutely. So yeah, I think they're doing the right thing. Absolutely. This here says waffling to satisfy Arsenal fans' pain. Shake my head. Well, not really, because I've criticized the non-Madueke deal. But at the same time, what I think is ridiculous, what I think is over the top at this particular moment is, how do I say this in the right way? The reason why the Noni Madueke deal is frustrating me now is it's overshadowing lots of other brilliant business Arsenal have done and are very close to landing that is going to improve their team. I don't think Noni Madueke sets them back. The only way that would happen is if he was the only attacking player they bought this summer. If that was this is our pièce de resistance to make our attack good enough to win the league, and it was Noni Madueke, that'd be crazy. That'd be stupid. That'd be ridiculous. But that isn't the situation. So I've criticized Noni Madueke deal in isolation. What I won't do is enable that to tarnish the other deals, because I think that is disingenuous at best and intellectually dishonest at worst. If you, though, think, okay, if you think that it's bad, if you think that it's poor, if you think their summer's bad, their season's going to be bad, make the statement. Make the statement. Come out and say where they're going to finish, how bad they're going to be. If you can't do that, that tells me you're chatting a little bit of Billy bullshit, my old mucker. Do you know what I mean? Am I an Arsenal fan? No, but Arsenal's news is big and trending right now. The same as I'm not a Tottenham fan when our lead story on 2 shows yesterday was the Gibbs-White situation. So don't blame me for Arsenal doing lots of transfer work at the minute. Blame them. This is all I want to hear. I hope it's all true. I'd sell Nelly and Trossard so long as we get 3 of those big players. Madueke is signing won't matter. Look, I'll say this now. There is still a distinct possibility that Arsenal only end up now getting Eze and Gyökeres. Those deals feel really close. You look at the situation with Eze today, and I was with my son at football. That's why I was late getting back. And where he plays, there's lots and lots of Crystal Palace fans in that area of the border of sort of South London and Surrey. I wouldn't say they were fuming. Saying Palace fans were angry today that I was talking to would be an exaggeration, because they understand why Eze is going to move on. They understand why Eze is no longer going to be a Palace player. They're already in a bad mood anyway because of the news yesterday around the Europa League. But he's not been using any of their promotional work for the new season. And they were just sort of frustrated. It was like, oh, he's definitely going to go, isn't he? Because I think you always hold on to hope that a deal falls through, that a player changes his mind, or whatever it may be. But it does feel very, very clear and very, very abundant that Eze is going to leave. And Arsenal right now are the only team in for him. Not because he isn't great, not because he isn't talented, but because I think he has told everybody else, I want Arsenal. And we've seen this on a number of occasions. Sometimes it's a red flag. Why is nobody else chasing a player? Why is nobody else making an offer? But when you read the stories and you realize that teams walked away, Eze is going to end up being an Arsenal player, in my personal opinion. Now, again, if you disagree, if you don't think he will be, state it. Absolutely state it in the comment section below. I'm not too sure if you will. It will just be ad hominem attacks. It will be a bit of banter towards Arsenal. But yeah, no one actually saying it won't happen. Let's go to some of your comments. Let's come in here. Terry, I love how you said that the Madueke deal is going to overshadow the business they are going to do. But since it hasn't happened yet, we can only judge it by the business they have done so far. That's a really fair comment. My only pushback on that is, do you think they'll get Gyokeres? Do you think they'll get Eze? Those two, for me, are almost certainties. Now, Arsenal could pull out. Arsenal could fuck up massively and pull out and walk away from this Gyokeres deal over 3 or 4 million. And I still think they're doing the right thing by pushing to get the deal in their favor. But I think they would go too far by walking away, because I think he's a phenomenal striker. But I do believe Eze, and I do believe that... Sorry, I'm making a timestamp for these comments. I do believe that Eze and I do believe the Gyokeres will happen. So from my point of view, it's a bit like with Mbeumo to Man United. As much as we haven't had the here we go and we all want it, we haven't had the official holding up of the shirt. I'm very confident it will happen. So I'm able to compartmentalize that. So for me, because I'm really sure that Arsenal are going to pull those deals off, I just find it hard to... I'll criticize the Noni deal, which I've done, but I find it hard to make an overarching statement that their summer's awful, therefore pre-season will be crap and the season will be bad. I think that is guesswork. I think that is hopeful thinking by particular people, especially rivals, but I can't make that assertion because I don't believe it to be true, my friend. But a really good challenge, really good point you raised there. Let me scream this out. Terry is very balanced, unbiased, honest football YouTube that I know. He is very respectful and cerebral in his submissions. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment, bro. No, I wasn't in Bromley. I'm not going to say where I take my son football just because, you know, I take my kid there, and there are some people that don't like me out there, and I give my work address out every now and then because my kids are never there. But I would never give out the address where I'm going to be with my children because there are some proper weirdos in this world, some real weirdos. Sporting don't need to sell. Their owner is very stubborn and a hard person to deal with. I would rather keep unhappy players than see them sell for cheap. Listen, I think from the Sporting side, I think you make a really good point here, Maisie, that Sporting are in no desperation to sell. Sporting don't need to do this. Sporting are doing the right thing by their side. The same as I'm asking Man United to be difficult and resolute in how we sell players. 110%, that's important. In fact, it's imperative to what we do. It absolutely is on every single level. They've got to do it. Now, Arsenal are still in a nice time frame. Pre-season has just begun. It is not abnormal. It is not atypical to wait until the second week, third week of pre-season to bring the players in. It's not what everybody wants. There is this new scene, there's this newfound kind of phenom, which is if you get it all done before the pre-season begins, you're a more ambitious club. I think people have been sucking in because of the Club World Cup, personally, on that. But Arsenal were right to also fight to get the deal at a price they're comfortable with. They don't want to be seen as pushovers. I think in the next few days, there'll be a breakthrough and a resolution because it feels very, very close. But you are spot on. They have no obligation to make this easy for Arsenal. Why would they? Absolutely, why would they? Can the news yesterday hinder a Mateta contract and potentially give United a chance to sign him? It's a great comment, that. And I put in the title, Ollie Watkins needed. And that, for me, is very much an opinion. I think Ollie Watkins is needed at Manchester United. And the reason I say Ollie Watkins is needed, let me break it down for everyone who clips me up and will then cut out this part. He's not on the top of my wish list in an ideal world, but Man United are not in an ideal situation for that world to be the reality. So I look at who is available, who would move a needle, and the two names on my list are both Prem players, and that is Watkins and Mateta. So for me, I don't mean this in a rude way towards Crystal Palace, because I'm not someone that wants to dance on their grave, because I think they feel a bit downbeat after yesterday's news. But I would like Man United to make another play, have a conversation with an intermediary and say, does this change anything? It may not. It may strengthen Mateta's bond to Crystal Palace. That sense of, hang on a minute, Gay is leaving, Wharton might be going Tottenham, Eze's on his way out, we've been demoted to the Conference League. He may feel a sense of loyalty and duty, which he already had, by the way, by saying he wanted to do a year in Europe. He may feel that even stronger now, Mateta. But there is a flip side. He may also look at it and go, lots of players are leaving. We've dropped down to the tier of the tournament that wasn't in the kind of wheelhouse for me for staying. Actually, a club the size with the prestige and the history of Man United knocking on the door to help try and rebuild them, maybe something that could turn his head. And United have got to try that, in my opinion. But Ollie Watkins is the one for me that I want to personally keep an eye on. A lot of people think that Aston Villa's financial circumstance is solved because they sold their women's team. It's not strictly true. They've still got a massive wage bill. Now, it won't be as high as 97% because the likes of Asensio and Rashford are no longer at the club, but they're only actually paying around half of each of their salaries. So they're probably saving themselves 5 to 10 million a year, but their wage bill is still colossal and they have no Champions League football. So their income over the next 12 months is going to drop. So you may actually find, although they've lost a few players they bought in the January or loaned in the January, their wages versus their income now could potentially be an even higher percentage because the income has dropped more than so the income has dropped much more than the wage bill has dropped with Rashford, Asensio, and I think Marlon leaving. So Marlon was alone as well, right? Or was he bought? I can't remember. But either way, even if he has gone, that hasn't dropped down enough. So there is the possibility in this window to do a good deal, a good price for a player like Ollie Watkins. And I want Man United to focus on that. I want Manchester United to be prudent, thrifty, but sensible. And if we could start the season next year with 3 of last season's top 8 goal scorers in the Premier League leading our line, I believe we'll have a much better season. Even if our defense and goalkeeper and midfield is only as good as it was last year, I still believe we'll jump up multiple places in the league. I believe we'll win many more games. One of our biggest issues last year was scoring goals. Now, I think, looking at the way the players have come back fit and strong, I think we'll be a better team next year. And I still think more transfers will happen. I still think we'll look at a goalkeeper of some sort. And I think we'll look at a midfielder as well. But we do need to not complete the entire department, because I think we need better than Watkins in future. But I think we need to complete what the start goals of this summer were to be. Let's really revamp that front line. Let's really bring some goals in. Let's bring some physicality. Let's bring some dynamism into that team. And Ollie Watkins would do that for me. But to your comment here, I agree. Mateta would also be a valiant addition as well to this team. There's no doubt. Rob here says, big up Terry. Love the content. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that loads. Munez wants out too of Palace. Well, that's the other side of it as well. That can often make more people leave. You know, a bit of an exodus from a team, which is sad, really. Which is sad, but I do get it. I really do get it. Oh, update here. Victor Gyökeres hasn't arrived at training again. He's now going to get fined. If this continues, it may lead to more serious penalties, including termination without compensation. But he won't mind that, because if he gets his contract terminated, he's just going to walk into Arsenal. They're not going to do that. They are not going to terminate his contract, because that means Arsenal can sign him for free. That is never going to happen in a month of Sundays. Not in a month of Sundays is that going to happen, in my personal opinion. United 7th. That's the joke of the day. I'm not making any predictions about Man United right now. I'm going to wait until the transfer window is closed, until we've seen pre-season. I just don't think we can sit here and make those assertions. I don't think we can sit here and guess those things right now. We've got no idea of knowing. It's easy to judge the better teams from last year that are adding better players, because that math is more simple. Best team in the league, like Liverpool, barely dropped any points, barely conceded goals, barely went games without scoring, won most of their matches. They've added quality. It's a very good prediction to say they'll stay as good as they are or get a little bit better. When you've had a team like Man United, it's very difficult until you've seen the ball being kicked and who the new signings are. Sometimes, and the reason it's a really good point, but the reason why I feel this is because you can sometimes add 2 or 3 players to a team that you don't think are very good, and they become magnificent. Equally, sometimes it takes 7, 8, 9, 10 players to do it. You can add a bit more power and pace, a bit more star quality, and there can be an uplift in a team that you're not really expecting. And there often is fine margins between often the teams that finish 15th, 16th, and the teams that are 7th or 8th. Sometimes there isn't you actually watch those teams play, there often isn't a great deal of difference between them. It might just be, and you think about Palace as an example. Crystal Palace, from November onwards, were amazing. But what was the difference in most of their games? In most of their games, a player like Eze or Mateta would turn up and score a goal. As an example, they also had a very good goalkeeper in Henderson that would save them a number of times in a match. You look at the situation with Brentford. Lots of their games last year, quite even. In fact, they had a number of games where they weren't even the best team in the first half or the first 50, 60 minutes. But then 2 or 3 brilliant counterattacks with Wissa and Mbeumo, and they're winning the game because they had 2 players with massive clinical edge. You take those 2 players away, even with Thomas Frank staying, they could be in a relegation battle. The margins are quite fine. So I'm not saying Man United will come 7th. We could come 15th again. There's a distinct possibility of that being true. But when it comes to the sides like ours, you need to know more of the players that are going to be in, and you've got to watch them play first, I think, before you make predictions. I really do. But again, really, really good challenge and comment that. I like that. Great conversation for the channel. Thank you, Luke, for encouraging everybody to hit the like button. This just says, football is unpredictable, but we can predict with what we, with what we have today. Hence, everyone says United 6th would sound crazy. Yeah, I agree. Saying there'd be 6 today is crazy, but that's why I wouldn't give a prediction today for a team like Man United. Tottenham, I won't give a prediction for. Brentford, I'm not good. Look, Brentford, I am giving a prediction for Brentford, and I'll tell you as to why. They're losing their better players. I don't think they've signed a good enough manager. I think they're going to be in real trouble this year. But that's because they're a really solid, well-run team, well-organized team, and there is mass change. That being said, I remember when Brighton sacked Chris Hughton and everybody went mental, predicted them to go down. They became better. So we could always get those predictions wrong as well. You know, we can get those things wrong too. Rasguna says Amorim will be out before Christmas. There's a possibility of that being true. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to sit there and lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that can't happen. Luke here says, I think Mateta probably sees next season as more successful as a Palace player than a United one. One more on offer, better team and Europe, although the lowest version, hate to say it as a United fan. He may see it that way. Of course he may. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that isn't the case. What I will say, though, in defense of Man United, just based on this comment, is people often do, if he's got a good agent, they have to look beyond the end of their nose. Now, where that's negative for United is they may go, I just don't see Man United turning things around in the next 3 to 4 years. So therefore, excuse me, therefore, I don't want to go, even if the money is good. However, if they are convinced, if internally in football there's a shift, then there is the distinct possibility that a player may say, I know this season there's no Europe, but with Muniz, you know, with Eze, with Wharton, Gakey all going, what's the likelihood of Palace being in this situation again next year? The chances are much lower. And he may feel that, well, if I join Man United, along with Cunha and Mbermo, we've been told that they've told us they're getting a midfielder and a new goalkeeper. There is also the other side of that United could be much better than Palace next year and on their way back towards the top. So it's a balancing act. And there'll be fans that go, bullshit, that ain't happening. And that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. I'm not going to get emotional about it. But both of those two things could be true. It's about who you can convince to believe the positive story. And that's the job of the football club. That's the job of essentially the salesman at Man United. The same as the Palace team are going to try and tell the story. No, look, we're going to lose players, but we're going to buy. And we're aiming to be in Europe every year. That's what Palace, I know Palace are telling that to their players. You know why? Palace's part owner was on the radio the other day, breaking down their project and where they're trying to get to. So they're selling the same, everyone's selling the same thing, you know? So some will deliver it, some won't. This here says, Terry, question for you. I don't like signing players who do transfer requests, refusing to train, etc. Because if they do it to someone else, they could do it to us. What's your opinion? I like Gyökeres. It's a really, really good question. I might want to make sure I word this right. I'm not against it. I used to be. I'm not anymore. Football clubs are more disloyal than players. Because if Arsenal sign Gyökeres and then in a year's time have a chance to sign Mbappe, they might replace him with Mbappe, as an example. And clubs will always look to upgrade on what they've got if it's doable, if it's achievable, and if it's affordable. So, and the club will do then whatever it can. It will be, listen, you're second fiddle, you're going to be on the bench. The club will start putting you up for sale, even if you don't want to leave. So if the club can do it, why can't the players? There is the possibility, though, and I hear you, that if he becomes disillusioned at Arsenal, he could do the same thing to you. But I think playing for Arsenal has a whole different knock in comparison to playing for Sporting. I know they're champions of Portugal, but he's not Portuguese. He wants to play in the biggest and most famous league in the world. You may not think it's the best, but it's certainly the biggest. It's certainly the most watched. He wants to play his trade there. So could this happen? Maybe. Van Dijk forced his way out of Southampton. Raheem Sterling forced his way out of Liverpool. But look at the way they operated with distinction at Liverpool and Man City, respectively. Ironically, until City felt Sterling was done, and they cashed in 50 million for him. So there's been multiple examples. He didn't work for us, really. Rojo forced his way out of Sporting, became a United player, and did everything he could to stay with us. So I wouldn't be overly concerned by it. Is it a character flaw? But you could say so. It shows a lack of loyalty. But we can throw that at all of our football clubs. Every single one of our football clubs, in majority of the scenarios, lack loyalty to the players that have helped them. When a player's too old, when a player's finished, when we're done or we can get an upgrade, we fuck players off like this. Yet as fans, we have the audacity in our emotions to say football players should never do it. I changed my mind about that many, many years ago. Many years ago, I checked. So I wouldn't personally be concerned or too worried about that element, my friend. It wouldn't bother me too much. A little bit of a recap for anyone who is just tuning in. Let me just timestamp this. So one of the big stories today from Ben Jacobs is that Gyökeres has not turned up to training again after being demanded and ordered to by Sporting. This is going to lead to some fines of salary. Now, they want him to come in. They're standing strong on their 70 million euro base fee. Arsenal are trying to push that down to somewhere in the region of around 65 million. But it's believed, according to Ben Jacobs, to be a very pivotal day in these negotiations. That, to me, implies that things could move pretty quickly from this point. There could be a here we go. There could be a done deal at some point soon in connection to this. Now, in additional news that we've already covered, Eze is no longer on any of the promotional work for Palace's new season, new kits, merchandise, etc. And we've seen a report today, it's the second one like this in the space of 10 days, that the preferred destination, the most attractive club to Rodrygo right now, if he is to leave Real Madrid, is Arsenal. It must be said, though, that the player's preference is still to stay at Real Madrid. Okay? But if Madrid don't want him, if Madrid are going to move on from him, the hand of Arsenal has stated this. Plus now AS in Spain has also stated Arsenal or his preferred destination. Nothing from an Ornstein, nothing from a Fabrizio, but those stories are out there as of right now. We've also touched on Ollie Watkins today, a player that I really want Manchester United to go after. But what I also wanted to update on as well is the situation with Morgan Gibbs-White. So it's a real interesting one, this, because according to a number of sources, Tottenham are very relaxed. And for me, I think that contracts, NDAs, the rules should be honoured to within the best of our football clubs and our players' ability. I'm not stating we should ignore the breach of contract just because we want to see a player move. That's a crazy and reductive and damaging train of thought for any football fan or any club to hold. That being said, I'll stand on what I stated yesterday on Straight Facts, and I believe this absolutely to my core. Tottenham's reaction to this allegation, in my personal opinion, tells you everything you need to know about the potential outcome. And when I speak of outcomes, I'm talking, will the deal happen? Will Tottenham land the player? And for me, I think the really important part for me is a few reports came out yesterday that literally just said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, is that Spurs are relaxed. Spurs are relaxed. Spurs are confident that they've done nothing wrong. There's a report here that says details on Morgan Gibbs-White's delayed transfer to Tottenham Hotspur has been revealed after the Nottingham Forest midfielder reportedly couldn't leave the club's training facilities due to the owner. Oh, sorry, that's a fake one. And I just saw the picture they put of the owner. That's so crazy. But there was a report yesterday that literally says Spurs are consulting their lawyers, but very relaxed about the situation. So for me, I see this as the more reports like that I read, the more on Tottenham's side I am in this situation, that they haven't done anything wrong. If you see a club walk away, cower between their legs, move on to other targets, that would typically demonstrate that you've done something wrong in that particular scenario. Liverpool did it with Van Dijk, Chelsea last season with Elise, and you will have more, you guys will remember other deals and other situations that have also gone that way. So from my perspective and point of view, I think Spurs are going to end up getting this done. I think Spurs are going to get this over the line. I think Spurs will land their player. It just may be delayed. It may be delayed. And I'm going to keep the same energy that I've been asking for my club, Manchester United. A lot of United fans, very emotional at the moment, very upset, very sad, fuming at Ruben and attacking the club for Garnacho coming back to training because why does he get to train with the clubs, etc. He's training in isolation, training with the other guys that are, a little bit like Chelsea did last year. You can train, but you guys are training over there by yourselves, keeping fit. I'm not going to judge Tottenham. I'm not going to slag Tottenham off until we get more information. I can't personally do that. I can't do it and sit there and say that feels right in any capacity. We don't know what we don't know. Nottingham Forest have put in that complaint, but Spurs haven't backed off yet. And it's been 24 hours and Spurs haven't walked away. Tottenham haven't run away. Tottenham are not cowering. I think it tells you something. I think it tells you something. What do you all make of it? This is my favorite shirt. I've actually got 3 of the same shirt. Did this make me weird? If I find a top or a shirt in a shop that I like, a t-shirt, so I buy a black t-shirt and it fits nice, I like it, I'll buy like 3 of them. If I put on a shirt in a store and I'm like, this feels nice, I'll buy 2 or 3 of them. So I don't like a lot of things, but what I do like, I like. See, I've got 3 of these. I've got like a green one with white stripes that I have 2 of. I've got about 7 or 8 of the same white, black, and blue Zara shirts. They're oversized shirts. I really like them. They just fit nice around here for me. I've got like 7 of all the same size and color. Is that strange? I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Oh, you got a lot of you saying it isn't strange. Cool. So yes, sometimes people see me go, oh, you had that shirt on the other day. Well, 1, I washed my clothes, but 2, I have a lot of the same shirt. A lot of the same shirt. I didn't do it with trainers. So like I've got these. They got these Nikes, right? But I bought 2 of these. Not at the same time. I spread that out. Now one of them I wear for like in the garden or doing things, and the other one I wear out. But once I'll probably buy those trainers again. Does that make sense? Because I like them. I don't really change too much of what I like. Yeah. You guys are the same. Cool. It is good, but you do save time. Like, I don't wear anything that's too flamboyant. So I've got a few. I've got 1 shirt I'm wearing it because I'm going to watch Stevie. By the way, when we're live later, I want you guys all back. KJ is going to be live. I need you guys here supporting the channel, though. But I'm off watching Stevie Wonder later today. I've got a very nice shirt for my day out. Very, very floral. But yeah, I often just buy a lot of the same things. That's just me. Let's have a little look here at some of your super chats that have come in here. Gibbs-White will be a Spurs player. I personally feel if Spurs did something wrong, they would have briefed the media as damage control, and I am a gooner. I agree with you, Matt. I agree with you on that 100%. I think they'd have walked away already. And the fact they haven't, the fact they're still there, I think speaks a lot. There is the other side of that argument, though. There's a bit of balance here, to be fair to Wolves Forest. Maybe they're going to back away, but they don't want to do it too quickly. Maybe they give it to Monday, give it to Tuesday and say, do you know what? We really want the player. We respect him, but we're not being dragged through the mud like this. We're not going to be treated like this. We've got other targets. We're going to move on and leave you guys to do you. Maybe they're going to try and time this so it looks like they're innocent. Because there is timing, right? There is timing to these things. So... But I don't think they've done anything wrong. Just a gut feeling. If it ends up being, if they have, I'll condemn it. But I personally think they've done nothing wrong. Funny how Liverpool was fined for Van Dijk, but Barcelona was allowed to tap up Coutinho, where he faked an injury, and Madrid did it with Trent and Konate. Well, there's two things to this. One, did Liverpool file a complaint? So if my house gets burgled, but I don't phone and tell the police, I can't expect any arrests. It's not the police's fault. They haven't caught my burglar if I didn't tell the police I was burgled. Secondly, it's only tapping up if it's direct contact or if elements of a contract that are under NDA are exposed. So Gibbs-White situation is not that they spoke to Gibbs-White directly, it's that private information on his contract was, they believe, was divulged. So if Trent's agent speaks to an intermediary at lunch and that intermediary speaks to another intermediary who speaks to the agent of a agent who then speaks to Real Madrid, you can't be done for tapping up because you're not directly talking to the individual. There is enough of a the only way they could stop this though FIFA, they could just put a ban in that bans intermediaries and bans agents from talking to each other about players. And if any type of personal term, any kind of player discussions take place, it would actually make transfers more fun. If Man United couldn't contact an intermediary to go, how much do you think they'd accept for this player? If it was just club-to-club contact was the only thing that was allowed, then you'd get rid of all of this. But FIFA are not going to do that because there's a lot of people getting their palms greased. You got to remember that in any one transfer, you'll get the agents of the players. You'll have the super agents like Jorge Mendes that come in and mediate. You've got intermediaries that do a lot of talking between all multiple parties, and they're all making bunts. They're all making money off it. So they're never going to get rid of it because those agents are probably giving people at the top a little cut of this and a little cut of that and a little cut of this. Of course they are. I wouldn't be surprised if the people that run FIFA went to the biggest agents in the world and said, look, you lot as an industry have got to start having some conversations. We want a little cut of this. There'll be definitely stuff like that going on, in my opinion. Why? Because I think it happens in every industry in the world. I really do. You know, once governments start giving out contracts for this building company to build these homes or this tech company to run this, someone somewhere is getting a backhander most of the time. Most of the time, I think that happens. All that needs to happen is that every contact at the end of the contract is released in an automatic trigger. Sorry, all that needs to happen is that every contract at the end of the contract, a release clause is automatically triggered. I mean, that's also a fair point, as you say, that there should just maybe be a kind of agreed upon player fee for every player, whether it's in or out of contract and they can't leave on a free. That would make a lot of sense. What is it? Transfers and not for your amusement, Terry. Those in business. Those is business. You're a banker. Loneness. I don't quite know what you're trying to say, Maradon. Look, it's capitalistic and it's business. I'm just, and I'm not saying it is for my amusement. That suggestion, Maradon the moron, wasn't made in any capacity. What we're talking about here is a Liverpool fan who was frustrated that they've been done for tapping up and other clubs he thinks have tapped up and not had it done. But there are caveats. I'm saying if you want to remove the caveat, this is how you do it. But as I stated, I agree with your point. This is why I don't get why you're challenging me. It is business. And because it's business, it isn't going to change. Cheers, bro. Challenge me by agreeing with me. The greed in modern football is insane. A mob stick cost 5 million. Terry, need a straight fact show of the Spurs fan. We've had Spurs fans on them before. It just peaks and troughs, really. Peaks and troughs. In English, transfers are not for your amusement, Terry. This is a business. You're a banker. You know this. Okay. I do know it, and that's why I said it won't change. So, yeah, he shouldn't be challenging me. What he should be doing is agreeing with exactly what I've said. But Maradon sometimes challenges me by agreeing with me, but he words it in a way, like I said, the opposite. It's fucking amazing. He's one of my most favorite people in the whole world. Honestly, it's sometimes I sit there and I'm like, did he just say that? Did he just say that? I can't believe it. I'd be like, yeah, I think Liverpool can win the league. He's like, fuck you, Terry. I think we can win the league. I was like, what? What are you saying? He's brilliant. He's brilliant. It's brilliant. Let's have a look. I'm going to share the link as well if anyone wants to phone in this morning and have their say. It'd be good to hear from some of you. Or someone sent me a DM. What's this about? Anything fun? Hey, that's good news. Hey, Louis van Gaal has now confirmed that he is now free from cancer. That's brilliant news. Brilliant news. Love that. I'm just going to tweet that out. That's lovely news. I like that. I mean, it'd be a weird thing not to like. Imagine not being happy to read that. I've met Louis a few times, spoke to him a few times. Good guy, man. Good guy, Louis van Gaal. In my personal experience, anyway. Funny guy. Genuinely, his sense of humor is absolutely top fucking notch. It really, really is top notch. Really, really is top notch. Terry, the only reason Victor is doing this is because Sporting have gone back on their pact. This is also true. Sporting Lisbon, I do believe the camp of Gyökeres. I think they have been lied to, but it was only a gentleman's agreement, and gentleman's agreements in a court of law are not worth too much. Terry is obsessed with Maradona. Yeah, because I turn up and watch him every day. But look, if you guys want to phone in, I'm just going to share the link now in my live chat and I'll pin it. I will do anything for you. I will do anything for Maradona. I would. There we go. So if you guys want to phone in and have your say this morning, it'd be good to hear from some of you on the show. Terry, what does this say about Gyökeres' attitude? It says that he wants to go to a harder, more successful, more demanding league, play for a team with massively more pressure, where he knows he's going to have to deliver because of the hype that's around him. It tells me that he's hungry, that he has desire, and that he wants to achieve the very best results in football. The same as Man United wanting better than Rasmus Højlund is to become a better football team. We're not worried about, there's no one sitting here and saying Man United are out of order for wanting better than Rasmus. Where's the loyalty to a man that's worked hard for 2 years? So from my point of view, it says nothing bad about his attitude whatsoever. That for me is a fan-led agenda or a media-led agenda that's become part of the football discourse, which holds no water. What I would say is bad attitude is someone that doesn't turn up for training because they're up till stupid o'clock in the morning out drinking or playing computer games. Someone that doesn't listen to their manager and work hard. That for me is a problem player. Someone that said, look, I've done years at Sporting. I love it. You're going to get big money. I now want to go to the pinnacle of the game, the Premier League or La Liga. I've got no problems with someone forcing their way. Why? Because our clubs would do anything. Spurs may be proof of this if it turns out they've done something wrong. Clubs will do anything possible to improve themselves. Why can't players? Nothing wrong at all. Big up the TFT chats. Best chat ever. Thank you, Mama Flossie, for the compliment there. Appreciate that loads. Chelsea are interested in signing Donnarumma. If that's true, if they get Donnarumma, oh, that'd be an amazing signing. Be amazing. Be amazing. And no, Twisted, I don't think he's being petulant. I don't think he's being petulant. That isn't the word that I would use personally, because this isn't personal. This is business. This is business. So I think, I don't think he's being ill-tempered. I don't think he's being sharp. Petulant is often a word used for someone that's being ill-tempered, someone that's being angry, but with like a childish sort of sulk about it. He's not being childish in any way. He's not sulking. He's aiming for the stars. And he wants to go to the biggest and most famous league in the world to play football. I've got no problem with that. Our clubs, your club, Crystal Palace, behaves in the same way. When you go and if Crystal Palace go knock on the door of a player at a smaller club in a smaller league and he pushes for that move, all of our clubs do it all the time. So, yeah, no issues with it whatsoever. And people got to drop that weird notion. Maradon sorting out his studio. Are you coming on? I'd love you to come on the show, bruv. Honestly, if you start coming on the shows, I'd love it, Maradon. Camera on, see that lovely face. Be amazing. Amazing. The link's in the live chat. It's pinned, bruv. It's pinned. Right, let's go to some of your calls. We're going to go to Cal to begin. Oh, shit, I better turn that down. My earphones are up so loud, I nearly fucking deafened myself. All right, let's bring Cal on the show first. Good morning, good afternoon, well, good evening to you.
Yeah.
But yes, some interesting updates today in relation to Arsenal. So first and foremost, Gyökeres not turning up to training. Ben Jacobs thinks today is going to be a decisive day in terms of the outcome of this deal. Eze not on any of the promotional work for Palace. And then the reports from Spain that Rodrygo wants you. A fairly positive day, headline-wise, at least for Arsenal.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I put out a video of myself just saying drama, drama, drama because of how insane the transfer window's been emotionally as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Dating all the way back to January with the Zubimendi and was it going to get hijacked all the way up to now with everything. It's such a wild ride, and every other day we're getting in like really positive news or really negative news. And man, I really hope that we do get the Gyökeres thing wrapped up today. The fan base really needs a nice here we go so we could relax. I think once we get a here we go for Gyökeres and Eze, the entire mood of the transfer window is just everyone's gonna calm down and everyone's gonna be more positive, and it would just mean that we don't have to doubt the club anymore. Also, I think Fabrizio put out I'm not sure how true it is, but they're saying that he put something out in an article saying that Arsenal are still interested in the Rodrygo deal, which is, if he's the one saying it.
Who did that? Sorry,
Fabrizio.
Okay,
it wasn't on his platforms, but in an article. And if that's true, that means that'd be a really, even if we get rejected, it would mean that at least we're in for him, which is, that'd be insanely positive news. But like honestly, as long as we get Gyökeres and Eze, I think we could calm down and relax, because right now like everyone's head is hot. Mine included. Was extremely disappointed with the whole Madueke thing, because he just doesn't lift the levels for us. He doesn't really do anything for us. And then you see the fee, £48 million guaranteed for Nani Madueke. That is mad. Like that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So if they can get us the striker and everything that he's been saying, Gyökeres, have you seen what the magazine thing that he's did, like the interview that he did and in Portugal, with all the things that he's been saying about it's been on X, that like people are just putting out clips of it because he's actually did an interview and he's just spoke about like what he wants for the future. And and this guy, his mentality is like, he believes he's the best. He considers himself one of the number one strikers in world football. He said he wants to play in the Premier League. He said earlier in his career that he used to doubt himself in front of goal, and he said he decided to not overthink so much and just hit the ball on instinct. So he started to score more goals. Like, this guy is saying everything I want a striker to say. He has like a top mentality, and man, like I think if he comes to Arsenal, it'll be a massive game changer. I just want us to Sporting, like, just pay the €5 million, man. I think they're not gonna bend, and I think they just have an ego to them, and I think we should just spend the money. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel about the whole situations right now. Still, it's just crazy time.
No, I hear that, and I've said all along, like, it's funny because people are saying, I can't believe you're telling Arsenal fans to calm down over Madueke, and it's like, well, that's not what I've said, is it? I'm saying be frustrated about Madueke, but I wouldn't be writing off the whole summer. I think your overall summer still looks very, very promising indeed. I think your team's going to improve. So yeah, I'm not. But then I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't have the same emotions. I don't have the same worry, PTSD. I don't have any of that. I'm just looking at it from the outside, objectively. Now, again, if you walk away from Eze, don't get Rodrygo, sign, and all you add is Gyökeres, who's very good, by the way, and Noni, then I get the frustration. But there's no sign of that right now. So therefore, it's I kind of get what Staffy's been saying about United. He doesn't see the indicators it's going to be good. Cool. But the indicators for Arsenal is that you're still going to sign at least 2 brilliant players, maybe 3. So it'll be an interesting one to see how it goes. What was your thoughts on the Gibbs-White situation? I'd love to hear your take on that as a rival to Spurs.
To be honest, like, because I didn't grow up hating Spurs, I don't hate Spurs like a lot of other Arsenal fans. I know that's heresy. I don't live in London. And I don't, to be honest, I don't really get the whole I think I understand the Spurs thing from a local standpoint, but for me personally, it's going to piss off a lot of Spurs fans. I don't think you guys are on our level. Just sorry. But in terms of just what I think about that signing, I think Spurs are in the right. There's like Nottingham Forest. Like, I'm sorry, there's no way you can prove that that Spurs like got the information out of Morgan Gibbs-White, and they're not in the wrong there. And Forest have just been kind of, I don't know, something about them that's just annoying to me, because they're the ones who kind of tattled on Crystal Palace and made them kind of get out of Europa League as well. And it's just because they were the ones that filed the complaint to get into Europa instead of Crystal Palace. Like Forest, they just kind of annoy me now. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think they're right in either cases. I think it's going to get overturned. I don't think you can. There's no way you can prove that Spurs knew about the non-disclosure, because 60 million is a fair opening bid. It's not this outlandish thing.
Yeah, you probably can't prove it. I suppose there's that element of. I wonder if it was bang on 60 million as a round number. Can you imagine if it was like 60 million? 300,000 and 92,000.
Yeah.
They got it bang on. That's when you go, or they went right. It's 60 million, and because again, if I was to do a clause like that and it was under an NDA, I wouldn't make it a round number. I would say, right, 60 million, but 200,892. If Spurs bid 60 million and 300,000, so it was just like a round number, but just over, that's where I'd go, hang on. How did you know to add the 300,000? That's what I'd be interested to know. But I don't think Spurs have done anything wrong personally. I agree with you.
Also depends. It depends, right? Did they bid it in a package, or was it just a fixed 60?
I think it's just a fixed amount. Personally, I think it's just
that bit is a bit sus, because I would expect it to be like a sort of package. I would expect like a 55 plus 5. The fact that they bid 60 no bonuses, if that's what they did, if they bid like 60 plus 5 in bonuses, that'd be. But if they just did a flat 60 bid with no bonuses, no one bids like that. So that would be sus if that's what happened.
Yeah, no, I get you. I think looking at those situations is key. That's the detail we probably need, as you say. If it was just like straight, no add-on, well, it's a buyout clause though. So maybe the buyout clause was,
because if they were aware that it's a buyout clause, they wouldn't put in any bonuses. They would.
But people saying release clause, but this is the thing, right? And most clubs at the minute are trying to negotiate release clauses to pay them in installments and do this. I actually think going in and going, yep, 60 cash upfront, done, bang. That maybe is what made Nottingham Forest suspicious, because they're saying no one else has done that. Everyone else has said, we've heard there might be a thing. Can we negotiate it? They just came straight in and did it. But equally, Spurs might say, look, we've been rejected by all these other players. We just needed to get a deal done. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I think Spurs walking away quickly is more of an indicator they've done something wrong. If they stay it out and go, well, we haven't, then, it's more of a, it's more.
I think
proof,
they could be playing trick and be like, prove it.
They could.
Because that's going to be really hard to prove.
They could pull out a Man City line and say, show us your unequivocal evidence that we're guilty. So we're going to add another caller now. We're going to add Robert to the call. What are you saying, Robert?
So, as an Arsenal fan who's born and bred in North London, I really do understand the rivalry. So I do.
I
hate
see.
Tottenham.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
Grew up with a lot of Tottenham friends
Yeah.
in a time where, to be fair, I had all of the play. So it wasn't like I was ever getting bantered by them. But my thought on the Tottenham thing, I don't think I hate Tottenham, but they haven't done anything wrong. If somebody comes up to you and goes, "Oh, you'll never guess what," and tells you a secret, you standing there listening to the secret, you're in the clear. If Tottenham probably were talking to the agent, talking to the intermediaries, and somebody's dropped something that maybe they shouldn't. Now, from Tottenham's point of view, bonus, they just go on and bid the thing. And it is suspicious if it's bang on the clause. But if you overhear something or if you're told something, that's not your issue. But equally, a lot of people are saying Forest is salty, Forest this, Forest that. If I was a Forest fan, I'd be delighted that they're standing up for the club that I support, that the owner is getting in there. He's already got them a better European competition and more money by being aggressive. We clearly know he's an aggressive guy. Runs on the pitch at the end of games when he's not happy. So he's a guy who's standing up for his club. So I don't really get the hate on Forest for it. If I was a Forest fan, I'd be like, yeah, go at him. Trying to take our best player, etc., etc. So yeah, I don't see how they prove it, and I think it'll end up going through. It's just one of those things where Forest will probably just want to maybe fire a warning shot because they might have other players with release clauses, and they might just be firing a warning shot to agents saying, "Look, we'll go after you if we think you're, talking outside of school."
Didn't think about that. That's a really good point, actually.
But the point I actually wanted to raise is one that I haven't really heard about very much from the community and everything else, and that's last season was a really competitive league in the mid-table. Anyone in the top 4 or 5, when they went to a Fulham, a Brentford, a Bournemouth, really tough games. And there was a real shrinking of the big teams and everyone else. This season, it feels like all of the big teams and traditional big teams like Spurs and United, who maybe didn't finish where they normally would, are going out and getting business done from those middle teams. And there's a real danger that next season there's a top 6 and then everyone else, where it's not as competitive as it was. So the Wolves are losing players, Palace are losing players, Brentford are losing players. Those teams need to get their arse in gear and get some recruitment done because they're going to get left behind and no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I felt for a while like the Premier League has gone through this sort of period where, how do I say this correctly? The Premier League has kind of gone through this period where it a lot of the smaller clubs traditionally with the new TV money have been able to hold on to players. And I remember this starting with Everton and Lukaku, and they could just hold on to him for longer. They ended up getting big money. Because from about 2014 onwards, there was just no necessity to sell. Where prior to that, Man United knocked on your door to Wolves and said, look, there's 30 million for Cunha. 30 million? That's astronomical money for a club that only turns over 150 million a year. It's sort of what it's 20% of their annual turnover for a player. It's gargantuan, and they can go out and buy 3 players for that. The new TV money changed it all, but I think the players have cottoned on to something now. Let's get achievable release clauses, or we sign the initial 5-year deal when we're 21, but we just don't renew. There's so much money being made on social media. These footballers now, I mean, Ronaldo's is off the chart, but the average fairly well-known Premier League football player can earn 200 grand a month in endorsements posting on Instagram. So they're making more money there than ever before. They don't need to go, right, 18 months in, what was happening, say 8 years ago was Spurs would say, right, listen, you're on 50K a week, Delhi. You got 4 years left on your deal. Sign a 2-year extension. We'll put you on 85. Cool, does it. A year later, listen, still doing well. We're going to put you on 100K a week, but you've got to do an extra 2 years. So they had these deals that were never ending, but they were getting these pay rises. And the bigger clubs that wanted those players couldn't get them out because then Tottenham went 6-year deal, it's 100 million. And everyone went, fuck off, you ain't worth 100 million. What the players are now cottoning on to is if you do that, you end up not being able to leave and go to the clubs you really want to. So they're not signing the new deals. So I think all we're getting is more of a returning back to normality. Does that make? And I think that over the next 3 years, if this continues, there won't be a top 6, because Newcastle's revenue is going to keep increasing. I think Newcastle will join that pack, and there'll be this group of 7 clubs that just have more money than everybody else. And we'll be able to keep picking the better players off from those. I think we're going to go back. We could potentially go back to that. But I think it's driven by the players realizing, imagine Cunha kept on renewing his contract every 18 months for new wages. But we're sitting there now with no buyout clause. There's no way they're letting him go for 62 million. They're going to say to United, 100 million or he ain't leaving. Mbeumo, 20 goals from a wide position. There's no way. I mean, there's no way they'd be letting him go if things weren't changing for the price they are. They'd be going, no, we'll just keep extending that contract. They also wouldn't have allowed him to let that contract get down to 2 years. So I do get where you're coming from, Rob. I think there's a part of that, but I feel we're going back to what it used to be like, personally.
Yeah, no, I agree. It used to be Manchester United. If they wanted a player from the Premier League, they'd just buy a player from the Premier League the same way Bayern used to do it to everybody.
Yeah,
they'd pick the best player out of Dortmund, the best player out of, and that's why they stayed where they were for so long. And that's why United in the 90s was so successful, because they prized out Andy Cole, they prized out Dwight York, they prized out Teddy Sheringham for, in reality, not that much money. But yeah, I think we're going to get back to, like I say, next season after. I think you'll see 2 leagues. You'll see that top bit, and then you'll see everybody else.
I totally agree. I think you're going to get a lot of that coming through. Robert, thank you for calling in, mate. I appreciate it, Robert. Top man. Thank you, bro. Aiden is on with us now. What are you saying, Aiden? Aiden's a United fan, people.
Can you hear me?
Yes, my friend.
I want to talk about what you were talking about earlier with the Watkins situation.
Yes, mate.
Realistically, Watkins would be one of my first choices at United, but I don't think Watkins will push for a move to United, because Aston Villa, they're on the way up, when United, realistically, we're in the lower part of the league. At this point in the going into the season, we haven't made many signings, and I think Watkins, if he was to come to United, he'd want to see us make more moves to other players to be like, okay, we're going places. So I think for United, especially if Gyökeres is going to Arsenal, we need to look at other places before signing a striker. Striker would be my priority, but the signings we need to make will hopefully make Watkins want to push for a move. So, especially with an Arna still in goal, Watkins will probably think United need to make more signings before I go for the move.
I don't think so. I think you're just way bigger than Aston Villa. I think he will come to United. I think if United, like we've seen, and I think this season proves the whole we are Manchester United thing that everyone else is kind of always annoyed about. Like, you guys finished 15th and lost to Spurs in the final, and you still got Cunha straight away. You have Mbeumo saying, I do not want anyone except United. And he's just been waiting this entire time. You don't get players of that quality without having pull. And in my opinion, I think Cunha and Mbeumo are kind of more valuable than Watkins because they are younger. I do think they're pretty much like the same level type of players, but I do think Watkins is just a little bit older. And I think if you go in for him, you get him 100%. I still think you guys probably still need something, maybe another midfielder. I still think you probably need some work in the midfield and goal, but I think you should go in for Watkins, and I think you get him at any point.
I agree with that, but it's also a point where with some players, with Watkins, especially at the age he is now, does he want to be part of a rebuild where he can possibly, with Aston Villa, they are closer to, they're in the Champions League last season, they're closer to the European place than United. So you got a thing like that. The whole We Are Man United thing, I do agree, but also with Cunha, it was a release clause. The whole part of us being Man United is a reason why he wants to come, but it's a release clause, so there wasn't much doing. We've seen with Mbeumo how long we're taking over like the small details. I know if we want to become like Liverpool, Matt, we have to look at the small details, but it gets to a point where Mbeumo still want to wait to come to us if we're taking so long of a deal, and it goes into pre-season.
The thing is, yes, it was a release clause, but he still agreed to come to you guys. I think that's the main thing. I mean, these players are clearly wanting to come to United. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I think, I mean, if you fork up the cash, I think you get him. I'm just not sure. I think for me personally, the financial situation of United seems to be, it's confusing for me on the outside because I keep hearing conflicting arguments. because I keep hearing Manchester United don't have money, but then you guys have the money to do business. So I'm not really too sure what's happening financially, but I think once you guys get the money and get the deals that you want, you'll get the players. Personally,
Yeah, I like the fact that our financial situation is confusing, because I think for too many fucking years it wasn't. Again, it's one of these weird things. I quite like all that side of United right now. I'm kind of comfortable with it. People not getting what's going on, and I get we want the signings, but at the same time, you know, we go and make the signings today. We're in a really precarious situation. If we bow down too early for one deal, all the next deals are going to cost us more money. If we sell, I mean, there's a report today that from Damasio that Juve have come out and gone, look, there's 12-13 million pound for Sancho, and we've got 5 million already from Chelsea. So you add it together and it's like 18 million. That basically means we break even on him, which isn't a bad deal. It means we lose no money on him this year and we get his salary back. So you're saving about 10 to 12 million in salary. So you're still making something. But it's a risk. But what if you leave it another week and they go, all right, well, look, we'll give you 15 million, 16 million. What if you leave it another week and they give you 20, 25 million and cover his wages? Now suddenly you've saved the 13 million, made a profit of 8, 9, 10 million, and that enables you one more player this summer. That's why I'm not against it. That's why, for me, I've criticized not being quick enough. But before I lose my mind and go, shit, it's not recoverable, I would rather hold out and get a good quality player on deadline day than sell at a loss today and guarantee no one comes in.
Yeah.
Because you're in and I'm going with two extremes there, because everything else is in the middle. But they're essentially the two outcomes we've got now. We could wait and end up with someone decent late, or we can sell at a loss now and guarantee nobody else comes in. For in terms of connected to that transaction, I would rather wait a little bit longer. But yeah, it's we've been funny. Yeah. Aiden, thank you for calling him. Yeah, go of course, mate. Go on.
I saw the other day with the outgoings. So Alvaro Fernandez has gone to Real Madrid, and apparently we had a sell-on clause. So from that and Anthony Elanga all together, I think we earn about 15 to 20 million from sell-on clauses. So I think, and going on with books, I think it will show us a lot more because they're pure sales. So I think with them going now, we're also going to have more money. So hopefully in the next few weeks, so we'll see a lot more movement from Man United in all positions of what we need to get. So
yeah, I did see people say, "Oh, but that's going to be in installments." No, income for players, whether it's add-ons, you show it instantly on your trading accounts, even though you don't receive the cash straight away. So yes, we may only get like 5 million of that this year, but we show it on the book straight away. So yeah, there's money coming in from that too. Top man, Aiden, thank you very much, bro.
Sorry.
I'll speak to you soon, brother. Thank you. Jason's here. What are you saying, Jace?
Nothing much. I'm just kind of like, reporting on the Arsenal news. I'm just wondering what's happening here. So I just kind of popped up here and there. So I think there's a few Arsenal news out there. I think Gyökeres is kind of like, a bit of stalling. I think is that kind of pretty much close to done?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's about as close as it can be. You're haggling over a couple of million. You're really close to getting an agreement. I think from my personal perspective, I don't see how you get closer to it without it being complete.
Yeah, because at the same time, like I think yesterday I heard a report that he skipped training as well. So it's one of those things where I think the more he skips training, I think the value of the player, I think, decreases as time goes. I think we're going on a waiting game itself. So I feel like that deal is kind of about to be done. I think Eze kind of stopped doing. I think Crystal Palace had their photo shoot or something like that for their new kit.
Yeah,
I was just wondering. I was like, he's not in their photo shoot, which is their main player. So I was just wondering, like, is that something? Is there some legs there?
Yeah, probably because he's not in any of the promo material at all as well. So he's just not showing up on any of their promo. So that's probably good news for us. Because if we weren't closer than we think to getting something done, I think he'd probably still be doing that sort of stuff. And if it's not to us, it's definitely to someone. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's definitely leaving.
Yeah, so because that's what I'm saying. So like, if we get those two deals in, like, I mean, hopefully we can find an agreement as well, especially with Palace's demotion to like the Conference League or something like that. That would make a big difference as well. So I was just wondering, like, just wondering where is that going to make a big difference when it comes to the pricing or the structure of the deal. So when it comes to that, I wasn't too sure regarding that.
It could do.
Maybe.
It could definitely do. Jason, thank you for calling in, mate. I appreciate it, brother. We'll chat again soon, my man. No Chater TV's on with us now. What are you saying, brother?
Sorry, I'm muted. My bad. I'm bad. How you doing? You all good?
Yeah, good, brother. What are you here to say?
Yeah, just to recap, because I think I spoke to you a few days ago, and we discussed the money that it would take for Arsenal to get these signings in if we were to get all of the players that we wanted. Yeah, in Eze, Rodrygo, Gyökeres, as well as the ones we've already got. At the time, Noni wasn't confirmed, so that's done now. I wasn't too keen on it. Still, really not too keen on it. But it is dependent on what his role is within our team. So I can get behind that signing if he is going to be the backup to Saka. If he's going to be our main left winger, then I'm not too sure. But what I wanted to say is I was in doubt about us spending the money that it would take to get these players. And as the days go past, I feel like it seems a little bit more realistic. The news doesn't seem to be fading. Rodrygo's, as you've got here, is most attracted to Arsenal. So that gives us a little bit of something positive to look at. So I think Gyokeres will be done by the end of this weekend. It just seems like it's almost there.
I think there's stuff for you to be positive about. What I find with what I find with football fans in general, and I do understand it to a certain degree, is there is this element of when you got linked to Zubimendi and Gyökeres, won't happen. People angry about it. Then you get them, and it's like, oh yeah, I enjoyed that. Same as now. No way this Rodrygo news is true. They could be people saying no way it happens. They could end up being right. We shouldn't. Me as a YouTuber, whether it's Neeks, whether it's Robbie, whether it's Goldbridge, it doesn't matter. We all say these things. Oh, I don't see that happening, and then it does. What I don't get is every time it's a negative story. Your fan base does it. My fan base does it. People jump on that like a bitchy in heat. And by the way, somebody said the other day I shouldn't disrespect women like that. If you don't understand what a bitchy in heat means, it's about dogs, you fucking moron.
Dude, like that says more about you than it does anyone else.
Lack of education.
You're saying about women like that. I said no, women don't have go into heat, bruv. Like it's God. What did you do at school? I have no idea. But it's one of these things where like United fans did this the other day with Garnacho. Garnacho's going to be trained with the first team. A day later, it turns out that was a false report. Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I'm glad it ain't happening. It's like, how can you be angry about something that didn't even happen? It's mad. And I see it with you guys. It's just, it's positive about Rodrygo. Not happening. Forget about it. Well, there's a difference. It's like, can't you sit in the middle? Oh, that'd be good. I'm not saying it will happen, but that would be good. As opposed to some fans, we're getting him 100%, love it. Or fuck it, it's bullshit. I look at the two ends of the spectrum and I just think, what's going on here?
To be fair, I'm gonna be honest with something here, because when we started to get linked with Madueke, the news for Rodrygo started to dry up completely. I think it was like almost a week without hearing anything with Rodrygo, and then they got confirmed. I haven't heard anything about Rodrygo. I was like, okay, it probably means that we're not in for him because we got Madueke. But the fact that we've recently today gotten more news about Rodrygo links to Arsenal, it means that okay, so it's not completely dead yet.
In the water.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. Once if I don't hear any more news, then I'll probably start to think, okay, it's probably not on. But if I'm continuously hearing links, I'm not gonna just shut down the links.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a strong chance that he could go elsewhere also. So it's not a guarantee. But whilst we're still in the picture, then we can look towards that and stay positive.
Yeah, I agree.
This would be a summer for us that I think could be a real game changer if we do it. And in my opinion, if we make these signings and it all works out, I don't see us having to spend too much money in the near future, the next couple of windows. So we could end up going on this little form of domination and taking over, but we'll see.
You could
100%.
listen. I want to thank. Did I miss any of these super chats? I did a few. What did you do before this, Terry? Love the show. Before this, I used to work in the banking industry. Before that, I was a full-time martial artist, and I did a variety of things from compete, did a bit of stunt work. I did put it on my Instagram if anyone was watching the other day. I found an old modeling picture, which I weren't a model by any stretch, but I did some modeling work for some company that was selling boxer shorts. And randomly, an old friend of mine in Canada, I don't know why she had the picture. And she was like, look at my wife found. And I was like, Mary-Eve, I was like, where'd you find this? She went, it was just in a box in the loft. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So yeah, that's what I did before talking on YouTube. I love the Blue Co multi-club model, Brighton's Strasbourg, Arsenal and Chelsea.
That is top shelf banter. Like I can't. That's top shelf stuff, dude.
That's good. Listen, thank you to everyone who tuned in. This is going to redirect you to our next show. Make sure you're all tuning in. I'm now off to go and watch Man Like Stevie Wonder. So enjoy the rest of your Saturdays. Take care. Goodbye. God bless.
Enjoy.
And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.
Take care, guys.